Let me ask you a quick question. If you got into a car accident today, how much money could you comfortably write a check for? I know this is personal. I'm not talking about how much you could scrape together if you absolutely had to, not how much you wish you could. I mean, comfortably, because that number, more than almost anything else, determines whether your auto insurance deductible is actually helping you or quietly setting you up for more stress. And most people don't realize that until after a claim. Today, I want to walk you through the real differences between a $500, a $1,000, and a $2,500 deductible. We'll also talk about some deductible options most people don't even realize they have. And by the end of this video, you should know which deductible actually fits you. Not your neighbor, not a spreadsheet, you. A lot of people start with this belief. I want the lowest possible deductible so I'm protected. And honestly, it's pretty responsible, but it's only half the story. So let's slow this down and make sure we're clear. A deductible is the amount you pay out of pocket before your insurance steps in on a covered claim. So if you have a $500 deductible and $4,000 in damage, you pay the first $500 and insurance covers the rest, right? That part is straightforward. What's less obvious is that insurance decisions don't just affect what happens on your worst day. They affect what you pay on every normal day in between. I once worked with someone who was very firm about having a $500 deductible. They liked knowing that if something happened, their out-of-pocket costs would be low. About a year later, they had a minor accident. It wasn't anything dramatic. There weren't any injuries, just a little bit of damage, The total repair came out to around $1,200, and they paid the $500 deductible. They filed the claim, they got their car fixed, and then their premium went up. Not in a shocking way, just enough to notice. And over the next few years, when we look back, the increase in premiums cost them more than the claim ever paid out. They didn't really make a mistake, they just didn't realize the trade-offs they were making. So a low deductible feels good emotionally, but it usually means higher premiums every single month, whether you ever file a claim or not. Let's pause here for a second and share a quick personal story. When I was in college, I had an accounting professor who talked about insurance more than you'd expect in an accounting class. And one line that he repeated over and over stuck with me. He'd say, "Get the deductible you can afford." That was it. Pretty simple, pretty direct, but it stuck with me to this day. He wasn't saying to always choose the lowest deductible. He wasn't saying to chase the cheapest premium either. He was saying that the right deductible is the one that doesn't create stress when life actually happens. That advice has stuck with me for years. And the longer I've worked in insurance, the more accurate I've realized it is. Let's talk about the $500 deductible more intentionally. This option actually makes sense in certain situations. If you're a newer driver, or if you don't have much savings yet, if an unexpected $1,000 bill would seriously throw your finances off, in those cases, the peace of mind is real. You're essentially paying extra each month to reduce the risk of a big surprise bill. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But here's where people get tripped up. They choose the $500 deductible, and then they avoid filing claims anyway. They think, I don't want my rates to go up, or this doesn't feel worth it. So they're paying higher premiums for a deductible they rarely use. Here's the question I want you to honestly think about. If you had an $800 bill or a $900 bill, would you actually file a claim? Or would you just handle it yourself? Because if you wouldn't file that claim, you're probably paying extra every month for a deductible that doesn't match your behavior Okay, now let's talk about the $1,000 deductible. That's the most common option I see, and there's actually a reason for that. It tends to land in a very practical place. I hear people say, I don't love the idea of paying $1,000, but if I had to, I could. That sentence alone tells me a lot. It means the deductible is high enough to keep premiums reasonable, but not so high that it creates anxiety. That option, people usually stop filing claims for small stuff. They save insurance for bigger events. And over time, that often leads to fewer rate increases and a more stable policy. It also encourages something healthy. People start treating insurance like protection instead of a repair plan. If you have some savings and $1,000 expense wouldn't cause panic, this deductible often ends up being a really good balance between cost and comfort. Now, let's talk about the deductible that makes most people pause. The $2,500 deductible. Most people hear that number and immediately think, that's way too high. And that reaction makes sense. But here's a different way to look at it. I work with a lot of financially stable people who view insurance very differently. They don't expect insurance to help with minor problems. They expect it to protect them from major ones. They're not calling their insurance company for every dent or cracked light. They're calling when something truly disruptive happens. A major accident, a total loss, serious damage. And for everything else, they handle it themselves. And because of that, their premiums are significantly lower. So let me ask you something. If your car had $3,000 in damage, would you want to file a claim? Or would you rather just pay for it, avoid the long-term impact on your policy? If the answer is honestly, I'd probably just pay for it, then a $2,500 deductible might actually align with how you already think. And this option only works if you have savings and you're comfortable thinking long-term. But for the right person, it's not risky, it's intentional. Now, here's another layer that people often miss. Your deductible doesn't have to be the same for everything. Most auto policies have separate deductibles for different types of claims. Collision covers accidents, things like hitting another car or an object. Comprehensive covers things like hail, theft, and vandalism. Those risks don't show up the same way every time. I've seen people choose a $1,000 collision deductible and a $250 comprehensive deductible. That can be a very smart setup. Why? Because comprehensive claims tend to happen more often, and they're usually out of your control. Hail doesn't care how good a driver you are, so you can keep your premiums lower overall while still having reasonable protection where claims are more likely. Let me zoom out for a moment. One mistake people make is thinking there's a best deductible. There really isn't. There's just one that fits your life right now. Your income matters, your savings matter, your comfort with risk matters, and those things really change over time, right? And here's the main idea I want you to remember. The best deductible is usually the one you can afford, not just technically, but emotionally. If your deductible makes you more anxious, it's probably too high. If it never really comes into play and just quietly drains your budget every month, it might be too low. Insurance should reduce stress, not add to it. Quick note before we wrap up. If this helped clarify deductibles for you, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. I put out videos like this regularly to help people make smarter decisions without the confusion. All right, back to it. If your deductible was set years ago and you never revisited it, that's completely normal. Most people choose it once and never really think about it again. But life changes. Savings change, income changes, comfort levels change. If you want help reviewing whether your deductible really fits your life, that's what we do every day. We help explain things clearly. We answer your questions. And yes, There might be some insurance jargon along the way, but we'll make sure it actually makes sense. No pressure, just real conversation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.